Hey everybody, I'm Darren Rivera, and this is Me and Your Pops. Before we even get started, if you like real conversations about fatherhood, hit the subscribe button. Helps other people find the show. Every week, I sit down with a dad from all walks of life. We talk about parenting, relationships, recovery, mental health, messes. Sometimes we laugh, sometimes it hits us in the heart. But all the conversations are real. Being a father of girls that are 20 years apart and just throughout life meeting amazing dads, I wanted an opportunity to hear their story, to relate to them, and share experiences that we've gone through. So I created the show. I know you'll really enjoy getting to know these guys. They're great dads. Welcome to Me and Your Pops. In today's conversation, I sit down with my partner, Steve. Well, not that kind of partner. Steve and I run the Inside Joke Comedy Club, and we've known each other for quite some time through mutual friends, but never really on a personal level. Steve is a dad. He has two kids, a son and a daughter, a year apart, and they're teenagers. Ugh. One thing I know about Steve is that this dude is always on the go. Even when we first started the club, it was hard to even get him together to sit down and go over our vision and our ideas just because he's just nonstop. Steve is nonstop. Talking to him, I think you'll understand why. Steve really believes in living life to its fullest, taking advantages of every moment, and more importantly, instilling the same mentality in his kids. So we sat down and talked about fatherhood, raising two kids, always on the go, and the way he looks at life. It was a good conversation. And I think you're really going to enjoy getting to know Steve. I'm writing questions to ask you, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I really don't even know the answer to these questions.
I don't think anyone does.
Well, no, it's not even that. It's that, yeah, like, it's so funny too, because when I had asked you prior, do you have anything off limits? Like, I already knew your answer was like, no, because you think you're on 2020. Like, you're like you're like somebody that was like in the Diddy parties, and you're like, you're gonna just tell everyone's shit. But some people have certain things that they don't want to talk about. But so the main question is like, tell me about your kids again. You have two. How
Yeah,
old?
so 16 and 17. So driving age.
Boy and girl.
Boy and girl. Yeah, boy 17, girl 16. And yeah, this is the driving age. So we out shopping for cars right now, and it's difficult to tr the thing is when you're shopping for a car with teenagers, right? They go out there and they want the Audi SQ5. And you're like, "All right, yeah, I wanted that too," right? And then you're bringing them to a Civic, and you're like, "Look," and then they just it just turns into a total disaster. It's just like, you know, you go from trying to show them something that's practical, but then they're looking at a couple friends here or there who have unpractical parents, right, that are buying them these fancy cars, right, keeping up with the Joneses. And I'm like, well, let's look at the other 80% of the people that we know. You know what I mean? Let's not look at the 20%. So yeah,
Right.
it's been crazy. It's been a couple weeks of car shopping. It's just been a little hectic. It turns into like a battle of I guess a battle of the minds, I guess I'd call it. So, but
So now, do you? They live with you. You have like full custody of your kids.
yeah, so we never went to court. We never battled anything. We never fought over the kids. It came down to where basically we split up when my kids were one and two, about one and two. And
Okay.
she wanted to go to school. She wanted to become a nurse. She wanted to you know go in that direction. And at the time, my mother was alive, so I had my mother. I had moved in with her when we had split, right? And I moved in with my mother, and I said, you know what? Me, my mom, I got family here. I'll take the kids. And then at any point, we could do weekly, we could do every 2 days, whatever you want, right? So I kind of gave it an open invitation, like, look, I understand you want to go and become a nurse, you want to go to school, and that's challenging. And I'm not going to put this big schedule, this burden on you where it's like we got to have this 50-50 deal and all this and that. Let's just save all the headache. I'll take them. with me, right? And this happened after probably 2 months after we had split up, but this wasn't like immediate the first night, first day. But we got to the agreement where it was like, okay, I'll have the kids, I'll take care of the kids. You you grab them or take them whenever you like, right? And you can focus on school and creating the life that you want for yourself. So that's kind of what happened at that point.
She's active in their lives, or
Oh yeah, yeah. They were actually just there the other day.
yeah.
Actually, yesterday they were there for. They have a younger sibling's birthday, so they went to a birthday party there.
Okay.
She had a daughter when I met her, and she just got married a couple weeks ago, and they actually had their wedding in my backyard. So we've stayed
Okay.
on good terms this whole time. I've always felt like
Right.
just because things don't work out in any capacity, if it's business, relationship, family, whatever the case is, it's just, let's figure out a way to just part ways on good terms, right? This just happened to me this week in a business deal where we parted ways on good terms. But it has to be, fair terms, but we're always evolving. So at the end of the day, it's like if we're constantly changing, we're constantly evolving, then I'm not going to stop you from going in that direction because I want to go in this direction, right? We're walking down a path together, and then you take a left, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to take a left anymore. I want to keep going straight. I want to take a right.
Right.
We shouldn't be upset. Putting expectation on each other is huge. So a lot of this stuff's been subconscious to me, I think, over the years, but I've uncovered it recently, where we've had these
Now,
conversations briefly. So
right. So like you just said a business deal. You work for yourself, right? You're in real estate.
yeah, yeah. So I'm
Like
a real estate broker. So
I feel like you're always working.
that's like literally all I do, and that's what I need to slow down on is not work as much. Because I love working. That's the thing. It's not like I'm working and I'm constantly, oh man, I gotta go to work. I enjoy what I do. Like even the time I spent at the restaurant,
Right.
right? I enjoy doing that stuff. Am I making money? No, it's for fun. And like I told someone, I said, you know what? I'm open to doing anything if it's fun. The moment it's not fun anymore, I'm out. And that's what happened in this situation. This situation, what's an amazing situation, was fun. I had a great time, and it didn't turn out to be any fun any longer. So because it didn't turn out to be fun, I actually said, you know what? Do you want it? And he's like, maybe. I said, well, if you don't want it, I'll take it and I'll buy you out. And he said, oh no, you know what? I want it. I'll buy you out. I said, okay, cool. And that was it. So,
Right.
and again, no hard feelings. It's kind of like, you go into something like I feel like every decision is a good decision, right? So you go into something that's a good decision, all right? It may not have the best outcome, but it was a great decision. You can't say, "Oh, I made a bad decision." No, I made a great decision. It was an awesome decision at the time. Just the outcome sucked. That was it. So that's kind of the mindset I've had, I guess. And that's with everything, for the kids, for business. But I didn't just get into real estate, and do that my whole life. I probably had 100 jobs. So
Right. 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 And right.
trial and error.
So do you come from a big family? Like you have a
Yeah.
stereotypical
So
Italian family?
yeah, stereotypical Italian family. When I grew up, so I grew up in the south end of Hartford. Um, Real tight knit
Siblings? You have a lot of
family.
siblings?
One sibling. He's out in Kansas City,
Oh,
Missouri right
okay.
now. Just one younger brother, 2 years younger than me. He likes to feel like he's the older brother sometimes, and he probably is most of the time, because he's the more
Right.
grounded one, I'd say. He's more grounded, right? So, but yeah, just one sibling. Grandparents, aunts, uncles. Always, Christmas was big. Halloween was big. It was always, Thanksgiving was big. It was always a to-do, right? At different houses hosted. And then, that changed over the years. After my grandparents passed, my mother passed, um, everyone kind of just did their own thing. So, you know, I consider myself at
Are
this point almost like an orphan, I'd say, only because
mm,
the people that I'm around are not my family. All my family's either, passed away, or I don't talk to them. They've moved away. My brother is really the only person I talk to in my family on a regular basis. I have a cousin. I have a couple cousins, but we talk sporadically, nothing on a regular basis. But yeah, it's not like when I was young. When I was younger, it was like the what you see in the movies, right? The big Italian families, things
Right.
like
Well,
that, all the holidays.
right. Are you close with your dad? Is he still around?
No, he's not. So he hasn't been since 2020. So
Like he passed, or he's just not?
nah, he took off. So he basically
Okay.
uh we got into an argument. He left, and I haven't heard from him since. It's been 6 years. So and that came from pretty much him having having to need so much from me, like on a regular basis. And I used to make this joke where it was like, and I might sound like an asshole, but I was caught between a daycare and a convalescent home where I'm taking care of my kids. My mother passes away, and he's this needy old man that constantly needs attention, and I can't do it. I need to attend to my kids. You need to go figure it out. So, which one thing led to another. Just got into a huge argument, and he pieced out. And
Mm.
I honestly, I'm grateful for that. He was never the guy that threw a baseball with me. He was never the guy that was. He was there supporting financially to the household, but it wasn't like, "Hey, Dad, let's go catch the game together." You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah.
my mother did it everything. My
Well,
mother did it all. So to be honest with you, I think I'm in a better place today because of that. So
that's interesting because I was actually talking to my mother today, and we were talking about parenting and how there's an expectation of a parent to provide,
hmm
to do all this stuff, but no one
yep,
no one ever talks about, like, did their parent do that? Did they get that? Because if they didn't, then they're not going to know how to do that.
correct.
Everyone just says, well, you got kids now, so you got to do this job. But if you're talking to someone who their parents never did it, how do they expect? And you know this. So the experiences that I've had with, like, the Italian culture, I was with somebody for like 7 years, engaged,
Yep.
and they were right here from Italy, and so many similarities to the Spanish culture. Where
hmm
when I hear, like, old school Italians or Spanish people get, like, divorced or they're not around,
Yeah.
it always shocks me. I'm like, I don't think you're allowed to do that. Like, I think
You're
you're
not
supposed to
supposed
just
to.
be you're
Yeah.
supposed to just be
Miserable.
miserable, right?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
You got to be miserable,
Um,
and that's
and,
it.
and and right, and then to look at your situation where here you are, being, working it out and saying, I'm taking on this responsibility, not seeing that taught to you,
Yeah.
even uttering the words of feeling like an orphan, but being
Yeah.
such an active dad. Like, you do business and then you do your kids. I know you got, like, the other business that you're running, and you got the kids working at there.
Yeah.
Like, that's that's amazing because that wasn't done to you.
No.
You're
So
breaking the
well,
cycle.
well, yes and no. Oh, absolutely. Breaking so many cycles. And
Hmm.
a big topic today is like generational trauma, right? Everybody's talking about this, breaking that trauma because we're becoming, I think, as a society more again with social media, we're being more exposed to what else is out there. Like I wouldn't know what you have going on in your life without social media. I'd be like, oh hey Darren, what's up? And I talk to you once in a while. But on social media, I can just pick it up and be like, oh, he's got this going on. Or, I know people that are arguing with their girlfriends and their wives on social media. I'm like, why are you
Ah,
putting that
it's the
out there?
worst.
It's the
It's the
worst.
worst.
I'm like, what is
It's
what
the
is wrong
worst.
with you? But you wouldn't know that they would be dealing with this if you didn't have it, right? As crazy as this sounds. So, as crazy as it sounds, this was modeled to me by my mother, absolutely. On the other side, there was no modeling of any positive source other than just, the financial piece, which wasn't great either. We had our ups and our downs. I remember one week it's like we're going to the store and we're buying anything we want. The next week it's like we're going and you can just get one box of pizza rolls this week. You know what I mean? It wasn't like we ate healthy anyways, So it's kind of like,
Right.
oh, they're on sale for $1. All right, we can get 10, like, but then there were some weeks I remember, where it was like anything goes. We're going on vacation, we're doing all this. And I'm like, and it was just a manage of money, and my house was not great. And it took me a long time to figure out how to manage money because it wasn't modeled to me, whatever, or whatsoever. So yeah, you take stuff from your childhood and you implement it in your life. What my mother implemented in me was like families first, you know, take care of the kids, whatever you need. And she was around for a while. She passed in 2016, but she was around with the kids, and they saw that side, right? They still remember her. This
Okay.
is it's been 10 years now. And what she basically taught me was like families first, immediate families first, right? But along my journey, I realized that even if you are family or immediate family, you can't let someone else's negative energy affect you, because I'll jump off topic here a little bit. I feel like a lot of people have this programming, right? Where it's like, okay, by 2018, you got to know what you're going to college for. By 21, you got to figure out what you're going to do for a job, right? You got to be married by 25, kids by 27. By the time you're 30, you got a white picket fence, but you're in your mind, you probably never wanted any of that. It's just the programming, right?
Mm.
Like what the norm is. And I had this conversation with my kids earlier today. Actually, we were in the car, and this topic came up, and I'm like, look, guys, I didn't know what the hell I wanted until I was 30 years old. And I had you guys at 27, and I was still lost,
Mm.
right? I had every job under the sun. And I still don't know what I want, only because like I have my staples, right? Where I have my career, but I still don't know what I want, because I feel like we're
Mm.
constantly learning and constantly looking. When you expose yourself to the world and when you visit other countries and things like that, you see how other people live. And you're like, yeah, I'd give up the Mercedes to live in the tropical sun. You know what I mean? Things like that.
Mm.
This guy has no
Right,
money, but
right,
he's
right.
happy every day. This guy's happy as shit, and a pig in shit every day, but he's got no money. So I think that the biggest form of currency today is just being joyful. And that's what I
Yeah, it kind of leads me to the next thing because going into the social media thing, you post a lot of like motivational discipline
yeah.
stuff on social media. Like, where does that come from? Like your personal experiences, constant reminder for yourself, or is it
Yeah, it's
like you're
actually
just
so it's a couple things. So it's a constant reminder for myself, like, hey, like if I don't go to the gym every single day, I'll skip a day here or there. I don't have a great day. It's like it became my programming. My new programming is I need to go to the gym every day. I need to eat proper, real whole foods every day. I need to eat organic, right? You go out to eat, you're not eating that stuff, right? But 80% of my life now is geared around trying to be as healthy as I can, right? And I think the stuff that I post is to catch people's attention, that, you don't have to fit in any box, right? Like the stuff I post, some of the stuff is like borderline this way, borderline that way, and you can look at it and your perception may piss you off. And if you unfriend me, I'm okay with that. I actually like that, because if you unfriend me, you're never gonna forget about me. If you stay my friend on social media, you're gonna be like,
mm,
oh yeah, I'm friends with Steve. But if you know that you got rid of me, that means that you'll never forget who I was. So
mm,
yeah, I think the stuff that I post is to try and catch someone's attention. Maybe someone that is sitting on the couch and they don't know where to start, right? Like I'm in the works on trying to work on a fitness app right now. I'm not a fitness trainer. I enjoy fitness, but I want to create an app, because there's a lot of these guys on social media where you can join their program, right? They charge you like
right.
$5,000, and they're just using AI. You know what I mean? So it's like, why not put that out there for nothing? Like it's free. You just don't know where to
Nobody
get it.
puts anything out for nothing nowadays.
Correct. But
Like,
the
that's the
thing
problem.
is,
Is like
it,
nobody.
the price is so extreme. Like if I was to do it mainstream as my main job, right? And I charged uh, $20 a month, and I had 20,000 people join. That's a lot of money there, right? But these other guys are out there charging five, 6, 7 grand. They're like, oh well,
Mm.
they charge that much because it's valuable. It's free. I've given people the formula to go into an AI platform to get themselves in a gym routine that'll actually work and give you great results like immediately, and nutrition off the bat. Like that's how I did it. I just went in and I started playing around and I created this formula, I guess, by using these certain prompts to give me exactly what I want, right? And I figured it out. A guy asked me the other day, he's like, because I'm in real estate. He's like, hey, you know anyone as a carpenter? And I was like, what do you need? So he walked his property because he wants me to sell his property for him, right? This is in Middlefield. And he's like, oh, I said, well, I got a painter for you. So I set him up with the painter. 'Cause I hate painting. So one thing I don't want to do ever is paint. I can't stand painting houses. I'll paint you a little portrait, but I'm not painting a house. And I said, you know what?
Mm.
You need this, this, this. I said, you know what? I'll be here Saturday. I'll do this for you. And he looked at me like I had three heads. I go, dude, I'm a jack of all trades. I'm a master of none. I go, but that's better than being a master of just one, right? And he's like, you're
Right.
right. Went there Saturday, banged out a couple things for him. He couldn't believe it. And that's the thing. It's like I've always been good at trying to figure it out. And I think that's what happened with the kids, with the family, with, the the quote of the statement I made of being an orphan, right? Is you just figure it out as you go. There's no handbook on being a parent. It's like do what was modeled to you or what
No.
you think is better, right?
Right. I mean, even if there was, and even in your situation, like if there
Yeah.
was a handbook for parenting, you would have needed another one to parent a son compared to parenting a daughter.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know when I get you going, like I feel like I'm on Shark Tank. Like I'm ready to buy whatever you're selling. But this is the stuff that we never get a chance to like really talk about, and it's your
Yeah,
parenting
yeah,
because every time we see each other, there's always and the kids.
yeah,
No matter what, like no matter all the stuff that you have going on, you
yeah,
have this like and the kids. That's where I really want to pick your brain, right? Because of all these situations, right? You have this business mindset, you have your experiences, and then you're raising these two teenagers. And it's like,
yeah.
what lesson do you want them to take from seeing your work ethic, your accomplishments? Like, what do you want them to take from that?
So the thing is, it's like, they're going to take what they want to take from it. And this is part of the conversation I had with them earlier today because we got on a couple topics today. And it's kind of like I read this book and it's a popular book now, right? By Mel Robbins. It's called Let Them. I don't know if I told you about this book. I read this book about 2 years ago and it made me shift I read not often, but when I do read something, I try to resonate with a part of it, right? Or I'll just stop reading it after a couple of pages. But with her book, it was kind of like let them make the mistakes, right? Let them figure it out, right? But don't let them fall, right? Like don't like you want to be the safety net for the trapeze artist, right? Let them go up there and flip a million times, but you want to be that safety net so they don't hit the concrete. So I think I've kind of moved in that direction where it's kind of like, let them figure it out. And then just, with the whole car situation, shopping for a car, right? We sit there and we go back and forth, and I catch myself and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm just gonna let him do what he wants. So I say, hey, well, what do you want to do? Well, I just want to buy my
Mm.
own car. I don't want any help. Okay. Use your own money. You're
Let
gonna
them.
register
Let
yourself.
them.
Right. Yep, register yourself. You're gonna pay $300, $400 in insurance. If you want your own insurance, that's great. You know what? You got a job, you're gonna pay for it, right? Perfect. Now me, I'm trying to help him save. I want you to go on my insurance, right? I'll pay for your registration. I'll try and help you with the car, right? I'm gonna put some money in for you. We can finance it, we can figure it out. We'll figure out. But you don't want it, right? So if you don't want it, I'm not gonna force you. I'm
Mm.
gonna let you do what you want. And then unfortunately, if you get something that doesn't last too long and something happens to it, then that's a lesson you're gonna learn, right? So that maybe a
Mm.
little help wouldn't hurt. But you want your independence, which I totally get. You want to feel accomplished, like you did it. You did it yourself, right? So, and the same thing with anything really with the kids. It's like I just kind of let them. My daughter said to me today, she was like something like, she feels older than she is. She's 16. She's like, I feel so much older than I am. And I go, well, yeah. I go, you were raised by me. I'm like, we kind of were like three roommates. right? Like, we're cooking
That's
together, we're
interesting.
hanging out together. Yeah, we were cooking together, hanging out together, vacation together, right? Everything we did was together. It was the three of us. When I had them full time
Hmm.
from when they were about 1 and 2, I didn't date for 7 years. I didn't. I wasn't involved with any woman for 7, maybe almost 8 years. I just focused on them.
Hmm.
And I thought that every day just had to be a focus on them because I didn't want them to end up here or there. Because you see all these horror stories with kids, and what's going on, what goes on in the world, right? That don't have parents around, you know? And I said, well, you know, I got to do the absolute best I can. So I got to be here double the time. Mom was there, right? But because I was there in the more full-time position, I had to be there double time. So it was no going out with your boys on the weekends. It was no hanging out. That was sporadic when my mother was around. And then after she had passed, it turned into almost no time that I had. It was work, kids, work, kids. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. But now I'm able to have more of a flexible schedule. You take a few vacations a year, you enjoy yourself, because I have my own company. So I can kind of do what I want, right? Before, when I was an employee by the corporate world, I didn't have that luxury. I actually was employed by a corporate
Hmm.
company when my mother was passing. And I'll tell you the story here. So she was in the hospital for like almost 3 months, right? Before she passed. And I was working for this corporate company. And I said, hey, I need some time off. And you can fill out for FMLA, right? If you have to go, care for a family member or deal with that, and you can get paid for it, or whatnot. But I wasn't at this job yet for a year. It was very close to a year, but I wasn't there for a year, right? And I won't name the company. They're still around. They're a big company. But they wouldn't give me the time off. And I said, look, I don't want to get paid. I just want the time off. And when she gets better, I want to come back, right? I want to keep my job. And they were like, no, sorry, I'm out. So I just quit. And you know what? It's the best thing that happened to me because when I left that job, that's what opened the door up for where I am now. If I didn't leave that job, or if they gave me the FMLA, I may still be working there, a 9 to 5 job making like $70,000 a year. I wouldn't be happy,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
this new mantra that I say to myself every day is like, everything that happens to me is good for me. Like if you come up to me and smack me in the
Yeah,
face, you know what?
you said it
There's a
earlier.
reason that it happened. Yeah, everything that happens to me is good for me. Yeah, we talked about that
Right.
before.
Yeah. No, it
And
coincides with what you were saying about like every decision is a good decision.
yeah,
Uh, I hear what you're saying, and I could agree with a lot of it. It's hard for me to put that into parenting, and I think that's my biggest issue. My therapist told me I saw a couple. I love Mel Robbins, and I saw a couple clips of
yeah,
her. And my therapist was like, she knew my life, what I was going through, and she's like, "Hey, have you ever listened or read Let 'Em?" And I was
yeah,
like, "Okay." So I was going to a show, downloaded the audio. I made it 30 minutes in,
yeah,
and I said, "This is a great concept. This is a great idea, but I can't do that because I don't know how to separate the two. Because for me, let them will turn into fuck them. When I called my therapist, I told her, I said, this is a great thing. I got to do it in dosages. I can't
yeah,
just
yeah.
read the whole book because my attitude, yeah, that's how I would be single. I
Well,
can't
the
wrap
thing
my
is,
head
it's
around that
it's
as a
it's
parent.
giving up the control, right? So it's like the whole control thing,
Mm,
right? And going back to my son's car situation, right? What he had said to my daughter was, "Oh, well, if dad does all that stuff, he's going to have control and he could take the car away." Well, I could take the
mm,
car away if I don't help you with the car, right? Or, you know, I can, tell you not to take it out tonight or I can make suggestions to you, right? But the whole let 'em concept, I think, from what I take from it and the way that I'm living, and I'm not saying I'm living over this mantra, right? Because that's just a piece of what I've learned. But the whole let 'em thing, the whole concept that I'm using it for is kind of like let them figure it out. But you can jump in at any point. You don't have to be like, oh, I'm going out with my friends and it's midnight and they're 13 years old. No, it's not happening, right? But when it comes to things like in her book, she talked about her son going to the prom, and before the prom, this is where she got the concept, was from her daughter. He was going to the prom, and they wanted to go. I think they were out of Boston, and they wanted, and she's like, "Where are you guys going to eat before the prom or whatever?" And he's like, "Oh, we want to go to this taco place, right?" And she was like, "But that place is small. You got like 30 friends. Why are you guys going there? It doesn't make sense. And it's like a little tiny taco joint. It's like over controlling." So the let them concept is a rebuttal to the over controlling, where you're like I'd be like, "Go ahead, go to the taco place. What do I care?"
Mm,
Right? So her daughter said to her in her
right.
kitchen, "Ma, just let them. What does it matter to you?" Which is true, because if it's not actually affecting you, see, we think in the future too much. Like you're like, "Oh, you letting your kid do this, and it's going to affect this, and it's going to affect that," and you see the ripple effect, right? Like what it's going to affect down the line. It may not even get to that point. And when it gets to any point that you feel may not be where it should be, you can go in and kind of say, "Hey, I think this is a better suggestion." Like one thing that I talked to a friend of mine, she's in that field. And I want to say like a Mel Robbins kind of thing, right? Like a whole mindset, right? To let them, like, being happy with yourself and loving yourself allows others to love you, right? Instead of you attaching yourself to someone else, kind of in that situation. And, you know, she had said to me, she was like, "What's the worst that could happen with most scenarios is that someone learns a lesson from it. So would you rather the kids learn a lesson or stop them, and then they just constantly want to do it? And because now they're forcing themselves to do
Right.
it because they just want to do it because they're going to sneak around, right? Like if you were to say, "Hey, I don't want you going out with your friends," and then your daughter or son sneaks out the window and goes out and you're sleeping, right? Instead of saying, "Hey, why don't you have your friends come over and you guys can do a slumber party?" Or, "Yeah, you can go out with your friends and be home by 10, right? Later than what you want them to be out till, or maybe 10:30, but it's a little wiggle room, right? Than the norm, because we're so conditioned by the norm, I
Mhm.
feel. And that's where, like my daughter, she always used to say, strict parents make sneaky kids, right? Because she had a lot of friends where the parents were like Gestapo.
Mm.
And I'm kind of the, I guess, fun parent, I I guess, for lack of a better term. But it's not like my house is the party house, but it's like, yeah, invite your friends over, have fun. You want to stay up late. This is a safe place to do it, right? You want to go
Mhm.
to your friend's house? That's fine. Joy riding, things like that. That's where you're like, you know what? I think that's not a good idea, right? But back to the parenting, I think that there's no right or wrong. So I think that each situation is, I look at it as a whole, and like, how would I feel? I put myself in people's shoes all the time. So I'm kind of like, how would I feel if I was them? Or what would I want out of this? Like maybe I don't want this, but I'll settle for this.
Mm.
So I don't know if that makes sense or not, but
No, it does. Yeah, it does. All about.
I think everyone just takes everything too serious, and everybody's trying to fit in these boxes, right? And everyone is looking for something outside themselves. And the thing is, when you start looking at yourself, so like I meditate quite a bit, right?
I'm in sobriety. I have to. I'm told to meditate every day.
And do
I
you?
have to. I suck at it. I suck at it, and it's hard.
Well,
But like
you can't suck at it, because see, what you're doing is you're saying that I have to do it a certain way.
no. So all right, that's where like I will go back and forth. It's not that I suck on it because there's a certain way to do it. I suck on it because what I'm trying to get out of it,
Yeah,
for me, I my mind is going a million miles a minute a lot of times. When I
me too.
do give myself the 10 seconds, the 10 minutes, what have you, I'm always grateful that I did it because I've learned now how to like just breathe, slow down, block it
Yeah.
out. Like what am I doing this podcast was probably the hardest thing for me because to touch on everything that you've mentioned, controlling, doing the norm, trying to fit into what everybody's doing or what they want. And I was entering this like, no, like I don't, it's not about that. My mom was like, hey, you should have this person on. I'm like, I haven't even dropped an episode. You don't even know what I'm doing yet. And you're already telling me I got to fix it. Like, and and that's what happens, right? It's like people all have their, their thoughts and everything. Like, oh, you should just do dads in recovery. You should just do, like comedian dads. I'm like, I just want to talk to a dad. When I thought of having you, it wasn't because we're doing this business together. It was like, I couldn't wrap myself around raising a boy and a girl a year apart by
Yeah,
myself. Like one of the
yeah.
questions I was going to ask was like, when did you realize like that kids like were so much more intense? And then I think of just listening to you and I'm like, wait, you had them at one? Like
One and two.
that's that blows my mind, like,
I
and then to
listen.
see where you're at today, because I didn't know you then, right? I didn't know how far you've come, but to see
Yeah.
how you are today, I'm like, wow, this guy should do a dad coaching class or what have you, because what I hear most, did you always want kids?
So in my early 20s, right, I didn't want kids. I was like, I don't, I'm gonna be that fun uncle. I'm gonna have the Ferrari, I'm gonna have the
Right.
mansion, I'm gonna have the parties. Because I was in that nightlife business in my early 20s. And I was like never having
Hmm.
kids and all that jazz, right? Always had to have, you know, the coolest people around, always wanted to impress everyone, always needed to have the fanciest stuff, you know, and I've gotten out of that mindset now, right? In a big way. Like I like nice things, but we're all just trying to impress everyone, right? So when I was young in my 20s, I'd say, no, I never wanted kids. I didn't think I was going to have kids. That wasn't my plan. But again, you as you get older, you know, I was 27 and I was like, you know what? Why not? Right? I think it'd be fun. You go on vacation. I could see my kids running on a beach somewhere. Like you have this person that you're in charge of, right? And that this person's never going to leave you, right? You got someone that you can hang out with for the rest of your life. That's what you think, right? But then you head into the teenage years and you're like,
Hmm.
oh my God, what did I do? The teenager, I tell everybody that I had
Hmm.
a conversation with a guy. I met this guy on Mexico, right? And we were talking, and he moved out there from the States. And he was like, caught off by my story, kind of like what you had said. And he's like, man, he goes, right now we're having such a good time in our life, but we're thinking of having kids. And I said, well, are you going to continue this lifestyle? His lifestyle was he's out 7 nights a week, him and his girlfriend or his wife, he's married, 7 nights a week in Mexico. They moved there. They live in Playa del Carmen and they're loving life. They know everyone there. It's like they moved from Florida. And I'm like, well, if you're enjoying this life, then I would have no kids. Unless you're going to have a kid and bring your kid out with you as you do these escapades, right? And how do you think that would feel for that kid? I said, or do you want to have kids when you settle down more? Because you're still young. This kid's like 32, 33. And I'm like, you know what? You're still young, but in his mind, he doesn't think he's young. In reality, I told anyone I talked to, I said, don't even think about having kids till you're 30, 32. And at that point, if you're living the lifestyle of a 20-year-old, wait till you're 40, right? Because women and men mature differently. There's a reason that the man's usually older, right? Because you get along better, right? For me, it's always been that way.
Hmm.
Except for my most recent relationship, she was closer to me in age, but that didn't go so well.
Um,
You
so
were wearing masks. You were
raising the
wearing
two
masks
kids,
all the time. That was what I did. I wore a different mask.
so like, what's the loneliest part about being a dad for you?
Hey guys, you want to hang out tonight? And they're like, nope, I got plans now. As teenagers. So it's kind of
Mm.
like, you know, but I'm never lonely. The thing is, I enjoy being by myself. I truly do.
Oh,
Like up until probably 3 years ago, I used to be out every night. Not every night, but like I'd be out with my friend. My kids were older. They were with their friends a couple of years ago, right? So they were teenagers already. I'd be out every other night and, doing this or doing that and hanging out here and doing all these different things, right? And I'm over, the small talk and meeting people and, going to a bar or, go and, it's like people don't know how to socialize unless they're drinking, right? And I stopped drinking back in December, right? For no reason other than
Mhm.
fitness. I said, you know what? I woke up one morning, went to the gym, and I'm like, man, I feel like shit. I'm like, I don't want to drink anymore. Like I literally just said, I don't have any more drinks. I'm not drinking alcohol anymore. And I haven't had a drink since. And I
Yeah,
feel so
that's great.
good. Yeah. And I feel so good because I wake up every morning and I'm up at like 6 a.m., make my coffee. I got my routine, right? I make my coffee. I meditate. I make a little breakfast, go to the gym, go about my day, work, the kids, the whole thing. But it's like I still am nonstop, but I'm non-stopping for purpose, right? Like purpose driven things, not stuff that's just filling my time because I got nothing else going on, right? And and it's funny because I don't feel lonely, but there's times, man, I'll sit on my sofa and I'll just cry. I'll just fucking cry, bro.
Mm.
Because I sit and I'm just thinking of all the shit. And it's good, it's bad, it's everything. It's just the emotion. You gotta release that shit sometimes. So like I sit there and I just let it out, bro. And I'm just like, I don't know where the hell it's coming from sometimes. But it's like just a release. And it's normal from what I understand. But it's not that I find a lonely spot because like in my last relationship, we spent a lot of time together. A lot. Like like we were ride or die. We were together so much. And I woke up one morning and I said, you know what? I'm just not happy anymore. And it sounds crazy after being with someone for like almost 2 years. But I went over to her house and I was like, I'm just not happy in this relationship any longer. I just don't feel that things are being reciprocated to me. Not that I am doing something in exchange, right? Like I'm not doing this so you do this. But I genuinely am doing this and this and this for us, right? But I feel like your genuine side is not providing to
Mm.
the filling the glass or whatever you want to use for an analogy. Future projected this on like a screen in front of me and said, where am I going to be in 5 years in this situation? Where am I going to be in 10 years in this situation? And it wasn't good stuff. It was stuff that was like, man, I'm not going to be happy. So I went over, I said, you know what, this just isn't going to work. And we that was it. And I was fine. Like I was at the point where I was just
Mm.
like so grateful for myself to do that because I didn't have to people please and stay and, figure it out. Because when you have to figure things out, you're just burning the time until it ends anyways with anything. Like with this business deal that I had that I walked away from. I again, I future projected this on a screen in my mind, and I said, "Where's this going to be? Where will I be in this situation?" And I think that's what I did with the kids too, is I kind of future projected where I wanted the kids to be, where I wanted them to end up, right? And even though I let them do the let them, you know, situation, I guess, for lack of a better term, I kind of steered them in a way where it was like, I'm letting you, but I'm still guiding you over, right? Like, the cows are in the pasture, right? But you still got the cowboys there leading them into certain areas, right? They're not completely free range, if that makes any sense.
My dad used to always say that to me when I was a kid. He says it to me to this day. He's like, you are a battleship and I'm just this little tugboat to make sure that you're going in the right direction.
100%.
And I was 11 to 49. I learned so much from him. I didn't think I was learning at the time until obviously I became a dad. But
Oh, yeah.
the next segment, you kind of led into it with the whole people pleasing. This is called Don't Be a Hero. So I'm going to just ask you some rapid questions. However you take the question, just answer how you take it. All right. So this is the Don't Be a Hero portion of the show. I'm going to
Okay.
ask you just some rapid questions, funny, serious, just
Okay.
however you interpret them. Okay, no, because a lot of times somebody will ask me the question as if I'm a judge, and I'm like, however you heard it, whatever you mean by that. All right, all right, ready?
Oh,
You ready? All right, dad or businessman? Which job's tougher?
Definitely dad.
Okay.
Definitely dad.
Biggest fear, failure or regret?
So it's a loaded question because I try to fear nothing there. The only fear I have, I think, is that
Hmm.
my kids are, for my kids not to want to hang out with me when they get older. I think not invite me to parties or events and things like that, which I think they will. I don't think I have to worry about that. But I don't really, and I know I'm going to sound like a crazy, but I don't really sit in a fear category. I try, and I try to put this on the kids, like, guys, you can't live in a fear. Like, they're like, oh, my friend wants to pick me up. And, I'm like, okay, how old's your friend? 17. Just got their license? Yeah. Well, they're not going to do that because it's just not smart. But it's not me living in fear saying, oh my God, something's going to happen. Right. But I try not to be fearful of anything, to be honest with you. So, but you can't fail
Okay.
because as long as you're on this side of the earth, you can't fail at anything. All you're doing is putting a unrealistic expectation on yourself if you fail.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Red sauce or vodka sauce?
I'm a red sauce guy. I'll go with Alfredo. I'll go with Alfredo. I'll throw you a curveball there. But if I had to pick,
Okay.
I'll do the little
What's
marinara.
okay? What's more dramatic, Italian family dinner or a condo closing?
Oh, Italian family dinner for sure. Like every Thanksgiving, it was that constant arguing or this or that, just Italian family dinner, even the Sunday dinners, as much as having a big Italian family was
Yeah.
awesome, right? It's just the constant like, oh, did you see the new car that your cousin got? Or, oh, hey, I'm bringing my girlfriend over. How long you known this girl? Like, oh, 2 weeks. Well, don't bring her here. Like, it's a fucking shit show, man, like all the expectations everybody had on everyone.
Yeah.
And it's like if I could go back in time and give them all my
Mhm.
mindset that I learned at 44 years old now, fuck, it would have been amazing. But, now it's time for me to put that into the kids so they don't have that going forward, I think. I think my mindset helping them again breaking this generational, trauma or generational patterns has been my biggest goal. Because it's crazy because where I'm from in the south end of Hartford, it's like, oh, if you don't speak Italian, your parents are raising you American. They shouldn't raise you American. They should raise you Italian.
Mm.
And then I know a lot of these
Okay.
guys who they speak like I could speak Sicilian. I don't really understand Italian too much, but it's a different dialect because I'm Sicilian, so like it's a different language. The words are quite different, and I understand it, but I can't speak it. But when it comes to Sicilian, I could speak it well enough to get by. When I was in Italy, though, seemed pretty. It comes to you quicker, like when you're there, right? I'm sure with any language when
Mm.
you talk to someone repetitively. So yeah, the
The
dinners, forget
Italian family
about it.
dinner.
Oh, forget about it. I got stories
Okay.
for that.
All right. Okay. We'll do that on the part two
Part two.
interview. What what's one thing nobody's ever asked you that you wanted them to?
Um, I don't know. So that's a hard one. I don't know. I think some people always ask you if you're okay, right? But I don't think anyone genuinely asks you, like, "Hey,
Hmm.
how are you? How are you doing today?" Right? And I don't think anyone ever genuinely said to me, like, "How are you? Do you need something?" Right? Because no one does that, right? Like, when's the last time you called your buddy and you were like, "Hey, man, I just want to say good night." If you called a friend of yours and be like, "Hey, man, I just want to say good night. I hope you have a good night." No, because it's not cool, right? It's not cool. We all have these feelings that we tuck
I would
inside,
automatically think that they're drunk.
or they're dead, or they're dying. They got they got sick or something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Like something's
absolutely.
wrong. Yeah. Why are you calling me, man? It's like company, right?
Absolutely.
Like that comedian makes that joke where
Yeah.
it's like back in the day you had company come to your house. Nobody
Yeah.
visits anyone anymore. someone comes to your house, you're like grabbing a weapon. You're like, who the hell's at my door?
Mm.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I don't think we ask each other how we're doing enough.
Right. Well, I mean, it's this like okay. What's one thing your kids roast you about?
Being bald, being shorter. They roast me about everything. My daughter grabs my double chin. She's always grabbing my chin or smacking my chin, right? All the time. But then when I go to the school, she's like, "Oh, they call you the hot dad." I'm like, "Oh, okay, so your friends are right and you're wrong." I'm like, "Okay,
All right. What's your go-to dad phrase?
we'll figure it out."
Mm.
Hey,
What's
this weekend,
the
can I go here? And we'll
one
figure it
old
out.
man thing that you do?
The old man thing. Oh
Mm.
man. Well, I don't know if it's an old man thing, but I think as you get older, this happens to you as a man, and I'm trying to get rid of it. I got hair coming out of my ears, so I go get it waxed. So I think it's an old man thing that I have to do now that I never had to do before. And then when I got there, Darren,
Well, if
they're like, we got a special going on. You can get a second wax for free. And I'm like, shit, when am I gonna get waxed? And they're like, well, we do guys Brazilians. I'm like, I'm good. I ain't into that. But what else can you wax? And they're like, well, the nose is popular. And I'm like, and now, man, if you get your nose waxed, it's like a game changer, bro. If you never had it done before. So now it's like my routine every 3 weeks as an old man.
mm, right, okay. All right. I'm sure like Zio Enzo and all the Zios of the old days would have loved to be waxing their ears and noses. Jesus.
Yeah, they should have.
What? So you get older, right? Your kids have their families, they have their
Yeah,
kids.
yeah,
You're at the restaurant, you're at the bar, right?
yeah,
We've created Inside Joe Comedy Club to be one of the hottest comedy clubs out there.
yeah.
And your
Chappelle's there next
grandkid
week.
comes over to you and he goes, Grandpa, what's the secret to life? What do you say?
Just to be joyful and happy and don't say no. Say yes to everything as long as it's not going to hurt you.
Mm, that's pretty dope.
If you don't
All
say
right,
yes, you'll
last two
never know,
questions and
man.
we
You'll
wrap.
never know. All right. What we got?
All right. What's all right? Let me see. How do I? What's one thing that you want your children to remember years after you're gone
Uh,
that they learn from you?
Probably what I just said. Like, just be joyful and just enjoy every moment because we don't know how long we have, right? So if you,
Mm-hmm.
I saw someone on Instagram say to some other guy, he was like, "Oh, I'm going to give you $1 million today, but there's one deal," and he's like, "All right, I'll take it. What's the deal?" He's like, "You die tomorrow morning," and the guy's like, "Oh, I don't want the money." So if you don't live every day like it's worth $1 million to you, then what are you doing? That's why it's so easy for me to come in and out of situations because once it doesn't become fun, don't do it. Like I told my kids this since they were very young. I'm like, guys, remember, whatever you do, be happy. If you want to shine shoes, I want you to be the best shoe shiner in the world. I don't ever want you to think about doing anything else except for shining shoes. And guess what? You're going to be a millionaire shining shoes. Everyone that wants their shoes shined is going to come to you to get their shoes shined because you are so passionate and you're so happy about it. But if you want to go wait tables. If you're happy doing that, if you want to work in the corporate world, and my son wants to get into cybersecurity, that's what he's passionate about. He wants to do cyber warfare. He wants to go into the Air Force. I said, if you're passionate about that, then go in there and be the best, and you're gonna fucking excel unlike anyone else because you're so passionate about it. And you know where I got that? I worked at McDonald's when I was 15. I lived in Florida, and
Same,
I, I was miserable.
same. That was my first job.
Yeah. Well, that was my
That was my
second
first
job.
job.
My first job is I washed dishes. I lied to this guy and I was like, I'm 16. I was 14. I was washing dishes at this pizza shop. It was actually called Pepe's Pizza in Venice, Florida. not the Pepe's up here, but that was the same name. But anyways,
Hmm.
my second job with McDonald's, I
It's
was 15. What? What were you gonna say?
no. I feel like Pepe's is a common Italian pizza name.
I don't
So
know.
we're
Now
gonna go.
everybody's like Pepe's New
We're gonna go with
Haven.
that.
It's like the capital of the world of pizza, which I don't agree with. But anyway, that's another topic. That's another podcast. But
Right, right, right.
I this so what happened at McDonald's was I was
This,
not happy. Right? I was like, oh man, I hate working here. This sucks. This food is horrible. Like all this, I'm gonna get fat working here. And I was already a chunky kid, and I was like, oh. And I always wanted to work the beginning of lunch because the beginning of lunch is when they used to make the food in advance, remember? And they had all the breakfast food left over, and I'd get it for free. I'd pound like three sausage, egg, and cheese, four hash browns. I was loving it. It wasn't costing me nothing, right? But there was this kid that worked there. He was so happy. Every day, this kid came in, his name tag was on straight, he's joyful, taking people's orders and all this. And he was probably like, I don't know, 19. But you know why he was so happy? Because he literally just wanted to like own a McDonald's. Like I didn't want to own a McDonald's,
mm,
but he did. So he was in his element. And me, I'm like, I'm just trying to make some money. I don't want to do this. I don't know what I want to do. I'm 15. I'm like, I don't know what I want to do. Right? So whatever you do, just have fun doing it. Right? Don't do anything if you're not having fun.
mhm.
I don't know. It sounds crazy, but it works.
Well, the second part to that question about your kids taking something that they remembered from you was what are you doing today to show them that, like to make sure that they know.
Well, I annoy them with my motivational speeches. So once they ask me a question, I give them the answer that I want to give them and say, do this and be joyful. All right, Dad, whatever. Because they're literal still. They're still learning, right? Then they think I'm just like whimsical or something, right? But I'm just like, look, does it make sense to you? Are you gonna be happy doing that? Then do it. There's no question about it, right? But yeah, that's the only part of it that changes is that the conversation, the context is the changing piece, but the answer is always the same. It's like if you're passionate about it, if you
Mm.
love doing it, do it. If you're not, then what are you doing it for? You're doing it for money? You can find money in other ways, right? You don't have to find it with something that you're not going to be happy doing, right? And they don't have to worry about that right now, anyways. But I just wanted to focus on school and I'm
Right.
grateful that they have great grades. This is the thing. I never, Darren, this is the thing. What's crazy is this. I never pushed school down their throats like some parents do, and they have phenomenal grades. And I don't know if there's a formula to that, right? Because I hear so many stories
Mm.
about
Yeah. I
parents,
don't
even I
know.
talk
I
to
think,
parents.
yeah, every case is different. Every kid's different.
Yeah, yeah. I talk to parents and they're like, "Oh, well, they can't go out or they're grounded because of their grades and this and that." I never did that because of grades. And out of the blue, they're A and B students. My son took the SAT, got like a 1320. He took it three times. I'm like, "Why am I driving you to school on Saturday?" "Oh, I'm taking the SAT." "You already took it." "I'm gonna take it again, try and get a better grade." I didn't do that. You know what I mean? So it's something inside them, and they're going to
Mm.
become who they're supposed to become. I think
Right.
no matter what you do as a parent, they're going to become who they're supposed to become.
Yeah, man. And I think that's a great way to wrap it up. I appreciate you being on.
Awesome.
Did you want to plug anything besides your
You
comedy
know what? The
club?
only
Because
thing is,
I hear that's a hot spot
yo, the hottest spot in CT, Inside Joe Comedy Club, every Thursday,
every
6:30,
Thursday.
doors open. And then I don't know. This guy's got this brand called Simple, right? So I'm not really plugging him, but I'm plugging that I wear this because things are simple, right? That the whole concept of everything is that like the comedy club, it could be simple if we implement certain things, right? So people overcomplicate stuff, and I think that's my biggest I guess takeaway from my own life is that I made things very difficult in the beginning of my life, and now I'm trying to simplify that and just make things simple. And that's why I wear this hat. I don't know. Someone gave it to me, and I was like,
Mm,
"That's awesome." I go like, "There's a reason you gave that to me." So, but yeah, Inside Joke Comedy Club every Thursday,
I love that.